Instant reaction after Iowa gets the win against Colorado today in the Sweet 16 and punches their ticket into the Elite Eight. You know what's next? Yes, it is the LSU Tigers. We get ready for it and a look back at the win against Colorado all today. Instant reaction, Locked On Hawkeyes.
You are Locked On Hawkeyes, your daily podcast on the Iowa Hawkeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, welcome in. I'm Trent Condon, and this is the Locked On Hawkeyes podcast. Thanks for making Locked On Hawkeyes your first listen every day. We're available wherever you find podcasts. You can also find us on YouTube. While you're there, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Helps us get in front of more Hawkeye fans. Well, this one turned to be pretty easy. Iowa 89-68 over Colorado. Final score was not indicative of just how much Iowa dominated this basketball game. After a bit of a slow start, Iowa started clicking, ran off 8 straight points to end the first quarter. They were off and running, and from there, it was kind of cruise control, which is crazy because coming into this matchup here this week, after the win and the difficult nature of it on Monday night against West Virginia, bouncing back, quick turnaround, you're going back on the road, you're going to Albany, you have all this stuff going on, and you're facing a Colorado team that you saw a year ago. It was relatively close. It was a 5-point game with 5 minutes to play before Iowa eventually pulled away last season. You figure Colorado has the motivation. 4 starters back from a year ago. The other player that wasn't a starter a year ago comes in from Michigan and has obviously played against Iowa a whole lot. This was a Colorado team that has beat LSU to kick off the season by double digits. And it was just domination. It was absolutely incredible how they were able to dominate that. I go through and you watch this team and you don't know. And every single time we get a little bit of doubt about them, right? Every single time we get that doubt that starts to creep in. And I think I'm not alone. It happened during the game against West Virginia, after the game against West Virginia, and they come up with an answer. The losses this season, and every single time, they have responded in a big-time way. The close wins, they've responded in a big-time way, and here we are. Here we are. They answer it, and we get the matchup against LSU. Now, we're going to obviously break that game down a little bit more, and we'll be doing that over the course of the next couple of shows, obviously getting into that one. But still in a day where Caitlin Clark doesn't shoot it real well from the outside. She finishes a 3 of 11 from behind the arc. It was the passing, and it wasn't just the assist totals. Those are ridiculous. 29 points, 15 assists in the game, and the 6 rebounds. It was the passes that she was throwing that nobody else sees. The ability to see the game in a completely different level. And that's a great thing about Caitlin Clark. Yeah, the logo threes are what get the highlights. And some of the great throw-ahead passes that she had. And ESPN had a great graphic about just the number of assists that she has from not even in the front court, from the back court, and throws it forward to a teammate and gets the shot and the assist. But watching her in that sense, just toying at that level, we don't get to see that. And that's what I continue to come back with at this point in time. I continue to come back and watch what she is and how transcendent she is. And we watch this player playing at this level, and we'll never see this again. We'll never have this opportunity. And we don't know if it's going to be 1 more game, 2 more games, 3 more games. That's the max. But we know it's coming to an end. And to put your stamp on with another performance like that, and now set up the showdown that everybody wanted to see against LSU. This is nationwide. Now, there's a lot of good things about it, and there's a lot of bad things, and we'll talk about that here throughout the next couple of shows and getting ready for it. But back to the win against Colorado. Mentioned Caitlin not shooting well from the outside. One of her first 7 from behind the arc, finishes 3 of 11. Kate Martin knocks down a couple of threes. Definitely needed to see that. Really good. Same with Gabby Marshall. She finishes with 14 points. And that 14-point effort, I mean, that's one of her bigger ones really in quite a while. Had 15 against Penn State, 16 against Minnesota on the road. But before that, the last time that she had a point total that high, you got to go all the way back to the UNI game when she scored 17 back on November 12th. So shooting it from the outside, and as we know, definitely need that. Another double-double for Hannah Stolke. I thought she did some good things. I got to say, I don't know what Colorado's game plan was, but whatever it was, throw that thing in the garbage and never see it again. Whew. That was weird, right? Now, I know they got in foul trouble, and I know that impacted, obviously, them and what they wanted to do. Vonleh, she is just such a presence inside that her going out with the 2 fouls changed the complexion. But I get it. You want to hedge out hard on Caitlin Clark. You want to get the ball out of her hands, and they worked to do that. Didn't want to get squeeze off shots from the outside. But the way they were doing it, and they were overcommitting so many different times, it led to the passing lanes and the driving lanes, most importantly. And that's how Caitlin got going throughout the first quarter. I mean, it was get that defender out her hip, and she's big enough and strong enough to get to the rim and then be able to finish. And she did that just so many times throughout the course of the game. Weird game plan. I'm good with it. I'm happy with it. We'll definitely sign up and take that. Well, we're going to look forward as well and look forward to this matchup against LSU coming up Monday night. 6 o'clock tip-off on that one as Iowa will get their matchup. Got to mention as well, Sita Fulter, again, playing at a really high level. Feuerbach, McCabe both came in. I thought O'Grady had a moment in there where showed some good things. How about A.J. Edinger? And you kind of wonder, kind of looking forward at this matchup coming up on Monday night. Could there be potential that we see either of those post players out there a little bit more, either O'Grady or Edinger, even Sharon Goodman? Now, is there an opportunity to see them out there a little bit more? We'll get into that as we get ready for the preview here. A workmanlike, easy victory against Colorado. I didn't see it coming. I thought the matchup was going to be much more difficult. And there's something to be said, something we talked about earlier this week, every day, as you know about this, is you had this thought, or at least I did, just getting away from Carver. Yes, the environment is incredible and the fan base amazing. But that pressure that builds on you at home, it's just different on the road. Although there was a great contingent of Hawkeye fans, I got to see some of my friends on TV, which is always fun. Got to see a lot of people that you know out there and the faces that we know from watching this team and all those different things. Getting away, that insular nature that it creates, everybody working together, I think that was a good thing. I think this team needed that. And they know that they had their circle, right? And we got to learn about the circle now the last couple of years and what that circle means. And now they're back in their circle. And the outside distraction, though it's still there, it's not to minimize because the distraction is going to ratchet up to a whole nother level here in the next 48 hours. But in the here and now, just yourselves, being with yourselves, I think there's something to be said. And getting away from home and being able to do this together. More here on the Instant Reaction Podcast, and we look forward to the matchup against LSU. We got a lot to get to. Iowa, a winner onto the Elite Eight for the 6th time in program history. This is Locked On Hawkeyes. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime and the Gametime app. Gametime is now an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets even faster and easier. Prices on the Gametime app actually go down the closer it gets to first pitch, with killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee. Gametime takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. Pick out any game that you'd like to attend. It is absolutely incredible. I used this last season during the Twins playoff run. Got some great tickets and absolutely love all that they have there with the last-minute ticket deals. I love the views from your seat. Absolutely one of my favorite things, an opportunity to see not just a picture of where you're going to be. It's a panoramic view from your seat. You can take a look at that before you buy. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCollege. LOCKEDONCOLLEGE. Locked On College for $20 off. Download Gametime, the Gametime app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Trent Condon back with you here again on the Locked On Hawkeyes podcast. Little instant reaction after the Iowa victory against Colorado as they win it 89-68. It wasn't that close. Domination out of the Hawkeyes. So here we go. It's LSU. And if you're watching the women's college basketball tournament throughout the course of this day here, we saw some really good games. Started up with the LSU victory against UCLA. Pulled away late in that one. Definitely could have gone either way. Lauren Betts at 6'7", a matchup nightmare. And I get it. LSU, there's so much baggage that comes along with LSU in this matchup for Iowa. There's so much more. But in terms of strictly a basketball sense, I think I like the matchup against LSU more than I do UCLA. But it's not just about on the hardwood. There are so many more layers to this one. And we're going to peel back just a few of them. But the hype for this game is unlike anything ever seen in women's college basketball. The hype for this sporting event is going to be as big as we've seen in such a long time. Yeah, the Super Bowl gets the hype. It gets it every year. When you're talking about what you normally get for a sporting event compared to what you're going to get for this, it's not for a championship. It's to get to a Final Four. It's to win a region. But for an Elite Eight matchup in basketball, can you think of anything close? I certainly can't. Not historically, men's or women's, the kind of pomp and circumstance that's going to be surrounding this game. Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark is going to be a storyline. What Kim Mulkey has been doing, going after the media, sometimes it makes sense. Other times it doesn't. Going up against the LA Times and their column from earlier today. Yeah, that was a weird column. Going against the Washington Post. They come out with a bunch of stuff that isn't new. It's interesting. Look, Kim Mulkey, if you've been listening to this podcast, you know, she's not one of my favorite people. I think she's a bad person. She's a hell of a coach, though. She absolutely is. And do you pity her? Do you worry for her? Do you look at her as a sympathetic figure? Because she has family members she doesn't talk to. She seems like a difficult person to get along with. You wonder how much joy is actually in her life. I can't have any of those kind of emotions where I feel bad for her, feel some kind of sorrow. I just can't. Because there's too much else when it comes to her. There's too much baggage. And not only that, being on the floor all game long, it drives you absolutely crazy, right? And we're going to see it again. And we saw it during the game today as she's out there on the floor. And she just, can we have a referee actually stand up to Kim Mulkey? I mean, she's 5'5". What's she going to do? Kick you with her stilettos? I mean, come on. We cannot allow the bullying of officials, yet they allow it with Kim Mulkey. I don't get it. I've never seen anything quite like that. There are plenty of referees that would push back on Bob Knight, on Tom Izzo, on Mike Krzyzewski. You saw that happen. And in fact, some referees revel in that and trying to take down the best and the biggest guys. Not the case here. Not the case. And now we're left with this. We are left with a game where the referees will indicate and dictate not who wins the game, but how the game plays out. And there is a distinction there, and an important one. Because there are certain game styles that I don't believe Iowa can beat LSU. There are also certain game styles, though, I don't believe LSU can beat Iowa. We've seen this game played once. It was for a national championship a year ago. And a shooter that was not a great three-point shooter hit a bunch of threes in the first half. And that was the difference. Iowa getting down 20 points, battled back into that one, cut it to single digits. They had a little bit of momentum. Then there was the garbage technical foul. It was a poorly officiated game. It was an embarrassment to Kim Mulkey, the way that she acted on the sideline. It was some tremendous individual efforts from LSU and some spots where Iowa could have played better. But to think that LSU is going to win that game 9 times out of 10 a year ago is silly. And the same thing here. The point spread of FanDuel is out. I was favored in this game. And yet, the concern, the lack of foresight that I was going to be able to get this thing done, I'm surprised by it. I get it. What we saw a year ago wasn't fun. It wasn't pretty. It wasn't just losing a game. There was so much more to it than just the loss. And maybe that's what still lingers here today. And I definitely can get that. And I get that from the fan base. I really do. Because I was there. I took my daughter there. And it wasn't just a loss. It wasn't just a 12-hour drive home afterwards. It was, there was more there. And there's going to be more in this game. And yes, for some populations, race is going to be a part of this. And politics are going to be a part of this. And social conversations are going to be a part of this. It's not just about what's happening between Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. It's not just what's happening with FLAU'JAE and Kate Martin. It's not what this is going to be. It's not going to be a conversation what's going to happen between Stulke and Morrow. And that'll happen here. We'll talk about those things. But in the grand scheme of things, that's not what's most important to a lot of people. It's not me, but it's a narrative that's going to be out there. And we'll hear plenty of it. The good news is we get a quick turnaround, right? It's not going to be like a Super Bowl where we got 13 days of hype before we finally get here. We'll have all day Sunday. We'll have all day Monday. And we'll get to 6 o'clock Central Time on Monday evening. They'll throw the ball in the air. And then we'll see. One thing that I've learned is every time that you start to doubt Caitlin Clark, you start to doubt this Iowa team, they have a response. From what I've heard early, there's a lot of doubt that Iowa can get this done. I think they got a real opportunity. We'll break the game down a little bit deeper coming in with our weekend recap edition, getting into your feed early on Monday morning, and looking forward to that. As always, thanks for making Locked On Hawkeyes your first listen every day. A little instant reaction here for you after the Iowa win. Women get the win against Colorado. We got a lot more going on, and we'll break things down for you. Full episode coming to your feed on Monday. We'll talk to you then. Go Hawks.